Challenge Cup final, because that's where we start at Ellen Road at 12 o'clock kickoff. It's on BBC Sport. I think you get it online and on the iPlayer, that sort of stuff. It's Leeds versus St Helens, so Leeds in their hometown versus St Helens, whose men's team pop up in the next game. Hopefully, it should be a well-attended game, this one, Alan.
I hope so. I will certainly be there. I assume you will be too at that point.
Yeah.
So there's at least two. Yeah. Hopefully a big crowd can come in a bit earlier and see this one. I really do hope so. But honestly, I can't see beyond St Helens. They've just been utterly dominant this year. So I'd say Saints by probably 10 or 12.
Yeah, St Helens haven't conceded a try in the Challenge Cup so far. Both these two sides, whatever teams they put out, I'm not entirely sure, but went through at the Nines Festival at the weekend to the final of that, or the final stage of that women's nines competition that's going to be played in Salford soon. So, both ticking over well as well at the weekend in that nines. St Helens haven't had a real test yet, have they? Huddersfield in the quarterfinals was probably the closest they were taken in a game, whereas Leeds did have a very tough semi-final against York that they overcame. Do you think that will help Leeds at all, or do you think St Helens, with that remarkable strike centre partnership in particular, will just be way too strong?
I just think Saints have got a better team, unfortunately, on balance. You're right that they've definitely had the easier route. But yeah, I honestly I can't see beyond Saints for this one.
But two women of steel at Leeds, if that combination can get together and get working, Roach and Hill, or Winfield Hill. I'm trying to give Leeds a chance here, Alan.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough. And Leeds have got a proven track record of winning these big games. They definitely have when they get there. But yeah, Saints have been a juggernaut recently. So
it's really hard to go against them, isn't it?
Yes.
Even if you think Leeds might be a bit more competitive against them and maybe test their goal line defence out in a way that we haven't seen them have to worry about so far this year, you still have to feel like they've got that power to just stretch away when they need to, and Hardcastle's unstoppable. I think St Helens will win. I think it'll be closer than what St Helens have had to put up with this year. I don't think they'll score more than maybe 30 points, but they'll win by 12 points, maybe 16.
Yeah,
points.
If I had to guess, it might something like 22-10 might be what I'd guess.
Yeah, I think 30-14. I'll go with that. Damn it. The next game, 2:30 p.m. kickoff. This one's on BBC One. Wigan versus St Helens. And does the perspective of this game change at all on St Helens' injury situations in the sort of half-backs, and throw Hopewati into that mix as well, because he would have been the sort of full-back if they'd have all been kind of just Lewis Doddless, but now they're definitely Hopewati-less and potentially Lomax-less, or do the other qualities that St Helens have just overcome all of that anyway?
They managed to overcome massive adversity last week. I think Wigan are a notably better team than Salford, and Wigan are playing well. But it sounds... I'm going to go Wigan by a drop goal. Wigan by 1.
Gosh. Wow. Is that...
No. I just think it's tight. I think St Helens are not playing well. I think they're a bit disjointed. Wigan are playing well, so I'm kind of balancing it out on that basis. And I think it's going to be very tight. I think Wigan will just squeeze it though.
If you'd have asked 2 weeks ago, I would have said Saints by sort of 10 to 20 points, similar
Yeah,
to
me too.
where I went with the Easter game. But it's the injuries, it's the question marks in Saints' creativity. Wigan's defence hasn't been outstanding the last few weeks. There's been gaps in that, but I think we might see a bit of a different approach here, maybe in terms of that application. Walmsley's still a huge difference maker, even if Johnny Lomax doesn't play. You know, that's still a forward there. That's a point of difference. Although Wigan do have a forward now, that's a point of difference as well in Patrick Mago. Not quite the force of Alex Walmsley, do not get me wrong. But I do think that'll have an influence on things. I think it was important for Brad O'Neill and Harry Smith to get their confidence levels up before this game, because they are two young players that need to perform for Wigan. Last week gave me confidence that they're capable of it. Maybe not going to be as much influential against the St Helens side that are better than a Warrington side, but certainly capable of going at it at the top level. And if Lomax is out, I feel like, all other things being equal, Wigan have the greater ability to create scores. It's whether they can crack that St Helens defence enough times. It's going to be tight. Heart over head, Wigan by 4.
Wow. I'm going to get accused of even more bias.
I think we've got another factor. Wigan's goal kicking's been good since Harry Smith took over. In fact, even before that, Hardacre was kicking quite well as well this year. So I think that could be a positive for Wigan too, if that's carried through. I'm willing it to happen more than expecting it to happen, but I don't think we're as far off as I felt we were building into that game.
It's definitely a tighter game than it was at Easter in my eyes. Definitely, yeah.
Saturday 5 p.m. Switching over to BBC Two for Huddersfield versus Hull KR. I think injuries again are a huge feature in this one, and it's just as significant as Lomax's coup to Hull KR. I think that swings the balance from this being a toss-up to me thinking Huddersfield's pack should be stronger and will be led around well by Levi and Farge. So much so that I think Hull KR's unpredictable attack will threaten them at times, but Huddersfield are the better team here for me, and I'm going Huddersfield by 8.
This is another one that's so hard to pick. I think I'm going to stick with Huddersfield. That was my first instinct, and I'm going to stick with it. Hull KR are very unpredictable and can do anything. But I think Huddersfield by 4.
Yeah, the big thing for Hull KR obviously is if the hookers can do something, an impact on the game. That'll be their way of firing, I think. But Huddersfield are quite an organised defensive team usually. I know they've had a couple of blips lately. The Warrington game in particular springs to mind, but I do expect them to be organised enough defensively that those hookers that like to break the play open might not have as many opportunities. There's a few real hard workers in that Huddersfield pack. Then you throw onto the back of that clever creative players like Farge and Russell's kicking game. That could be crucial here. And Latelli's in fine form. Yeah, it's Huddersfield. Sorry, Hull KR fans. And I don't think it's Huddersfield by any kind of... These could go either way, both these games, I think, still, even with the injuries.
I agree.
It's the 1895 Cup semis as well this weekend. They're on Sunday on the R-League app, so free to view though still. Barrow versus Featherstone, that's at 2 o'clock. We have to expect that Barrow will be plucky and throw the ball around a bit, but Featherstone will come home with a fairly substantial win by the time the hooter goes.
Yes, can't disagree with that.
And then the other one is Lee versus Sheffield Sunday at 4 p.m. also on our league. These two sides have played pretty recently, and Lee won fairly convincingly. So, do we expect the same again? I think we do.
Literally on Friday night they played. So yes, similar score.
Yep. Setting up what I guess everyone wants anyway, which is the Featherstone Lee final. League One game of the week is Doncaster versus North Wales. That's two teams going well at the top end of the division. North Wales are going to have to keep rising to these tests if they're going to really nail down the promotion credentials. So we'll see how they go on. That's on Sunday at 3 p.m. And the R-League game, clashing with the other R-League games that we just talked about, is Hunslet versus Cornwall Sunday at 3 p.m. I'm pretty sure most people will be watching the semis rather than the Cornwall getting battered at Hunslet.
I will probably watch the Cornwall match in between.
But make sure you get your fan views in all of those actions. Any other action as well that you see. Wheelchair Super League returns, I think, next weekend for another round of fixtures. So yeah, do get in touch on anything that you see and tell us your views on the action, whether it involves your teams or some other teams. That's it for most of the main stuff that we talk about. We're now going to move in to just wrap things up with I've got a quiz. We'll get on to that. Okay, Alan, I was listening to a round ball podcast this weekend.
Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, well, I have like a hierarchy of podcasts, and but all the stuff that I have to listen to, I'd already listened to, because I was going for a long walk on Monday when Emma was studying. So I ended up on the most recent episode of the Quickly Kevin 90s Football Podcast, and they did a quiz at the end of that was quite a good quiz. The quiz that they were doing was like a competition between two of the three hosts. So it was like one person was doing the questions and the other two had to like buzz in first with the answers. So we can't do it in that format, so I've had to mix it up a bit. But their quiz was... See, it's not just us that has this format of having a quiz at the end. It's not that we've stolen it from them, by the way. We existed before them, but... Anyway, so they did starting lineups of Premier League football teams on the first day of the season by first names only. And they were like, I think it was like the 92-93 season they did this week. But so I'm going to do starting lineups of grand final winning sides by first names only. But I want you to name the team and the year, because just the team wouldn't be that hard, would it? You've got there's only 4 teams that have won it, so I want the team and the year. So don't jump in too quick, but if you think you've got it, tell me to stop, and then we'll see how many sort of players you get it with in terms of getting the team and the year that this team won the grand final. Okay?
Okay.
Did you get the setup?
I think I understand the setup.
Okay. I could find another one and do an example, I suppose, couldn't I?
No, it's fine. I understand the setup. I just don't know whether I'm going to get any right.
Okay.
But we'll let's see.
I've done 3 in, I think, difficulty order for you to get these, Alan. But people can play along at home as well. See if you can get it faster than Alan does and more correct. So we'll start with fullback Michael, winger Leon, centre Ben, centre. Okay.
It's Bradford Bowles and 2005.
It is Bradford Bulls in 2005, and you got it before we did the real giveaways, which was Shantaine and Leslie.
Well, it was. I was waiting to see because Ben
Harris.
Ben Harris